live
Is
is when
oh,
is when hello everyone.
everybody
Hi. Hello
love
beautiful
the
people.
show.
Hello.
Ah,
Hello. 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 Hello.
hello, hello,
Hello.
hello, Frisco.
You know that there are multiple directions with which you and I have to say hello right now?
Well, then let's see if we can find them all. Like Judy Garland used to say, I'll sing them all.
I think we do because we have hundreds of people coming to spend Taco Tuesdays with us. Did you know that? Yeah.
Yeah, I know that.
So
I'm
when
looking
we
at it right
say
now.
hello, we have to say hello. Some of
Hello.
them are on a higher altitude, right? So we have to
Yeah, of
hello. Then
course
we
it.
have to go down there if they're lower altitude, like our friends over in the Netherlands. We have to say
Um,
hello. And then
hello.
east we say hello. Over in the west, but we have many fans over in
Yeah,
Australia. We
out
have
west.
many Western fans. How have you been? This is I did not get to see you last week. Are you enjoying your summer? Are you having a good time?
Yeah, I'm having a pretty good summer. Did you know I had a fan encounter the other day?
Oh wow, do
In
tell.
my life, I was walking down the sidewalk. Bryant, if you're walking, hello. Wonderful man named Bryant recognized me from our show and said, You do that show with Dr. Whimsy. I love you.
It's
Was that cool?
August is intense. August is intense, and we had
Yeah.
made psychic predictions, you and I, that August was going to be
Oh,
intense.
yes.
All of the stuff that's going on. It looks like Fonnie Willis is willing to talk to those 19 co-defendants.
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear
Yeah,
about that?
I heard about that.
And Mark Meadows is meeting secretly. I think you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of Michael Cohen. When Michael
Yeah.
Cohen made a deal, pled guilty, they avoided a trial. He did a little bit of time and then he flipped and cooperated with the federal investigation. So
Yeah.
what I think is so interesting about Fonnie Willis is that she's not promising anything. I mean, she's such a classic prosecutor. It's just
Yeah.
tell me more, tell me
Tell
more,
me more.
tell
Tell
me
me
more.
more.
You know, it makes you think that if she's just not satisfied. How much you got to tell her to get off? It's just going to be tell me more, tell me more, tell me more. It's going to be a bottomless, but with no guarantees of anything, by the way.
Oh, I think there's plenty to be told. There's going to be more told than we ever want to hear or
Now,
know.
I gotta say, that's a beautiful painting behind you, by the way. What
Well,
is that?
thank you.
Is that
Thank you.
Olivia Newton-John?
That is Olivia Newton-John. Uh,
There's a celebration of life for the month of August
yes,
for Olivia
yes.
Newton-John. Did you know that?
I had heard about that. Tell me more about that. Tell me.
When you think about the song "Tell Me More,"
Yeah.
it's a
Well,
great song, and it
it's a great
really
song from a great movie.
it
And
is.
do you know that
And
movie was filmed
I
3 blocks from
do.
where I
Right,
live?
Danny? You got
Oh,
controls, right? Yeah. Come
kind
on,
of
come on,
makes
come
me
on.
think about Fonnie Willis.
Yes.
Oh, I spent most of it at the beach.
Isn't she
I met a
beautiful?
boy
Oh
there.
my goodness.
All your
You know, I
cookies all the
met
way to
her
the beach for some guy?
Mm.
back
What's
in
so special?
1985.
There ain't no such thing.
And
Ah,
you know, it's such a cliche that
Romantic.
to say that a person has a smile that lights up a room.
You don't want to
He
hear all
let's
the
take a
really
mo-
details.
had a smile.
let's take a moment and honor Fonnie Willis.
Okay, tell me
Ooh, do
more.
tell. What'd you do, Meadows? What's her name, Fonnie?
Funny.
Ooh,
Cutest
do
can be.
tell.
Tell me more. Tell me more.
Must be hot in Georgia.
Oh, lights are out in Georgia.
Tell me more. I think they made it past the Capitol.
I think so.
I think they met at the Willard.
I think so too.
I think they thought they were doing something pretty good for the rest of the world.
Pretty darn good, yeah.
I think they might have gotten that part wrong. I think we have a new summer deal.
I think we do. I think we do. Tell me more. Tell me more.
Love at first sight. E. Jean Carroll put up a fight. I think it was E. Jean Carroll.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my.
Yeah.
That's so sad, Chuck. What do you think it all means?
Oh, I
I
just think
just
uh,
it
we're
just
gonna be
goes
loving that.
on, and I think it's
Stuff.
such a beautiful tribute to a beautiful woman. I
Yeah,
just
indeed. I loved her when I met
tell me
her.
more, tell me more, tell me more,
Yeah,
Sandra.
and I met her. She had the warmest, sincerest energy, the most beautiful smile. And you made a request of me an hour before the show. This is about the fastest I've
Yes,
done
because
it.
well, the celebration of life, and I just felt I loved her so much, and
Oh,
it's
me
the
too.
I wanted to do something earlier in the month because the anniversary of her death was actually August 8th.
August 8th. I didn't realize.
Yes, it was August 8th, and, she died of breast cancer.
Yes,
Yeah, and then I guess she was in recovery, and then it came back, and then
she
she passed.
fought it for almost 30 years, I think.
Mm,
I think when she was
wow.
49 or 50, she had to have I don't know if it was a double mastectomy. She had a mastectomy, reconstruction, but her cancer kept recurring. But a very brave, noble woman, just a beautiful soul. But you asked me to do something special about an hour ago, and I've never worked
Yes.
quickly doing a remote. And I said, well, I'll just see what happens. I knew her energy from meeting her. And first of all, it came through. There's just tremendous love in her soul, in her spirit. So that started to come through. It was a very simple message. It was, I know it may sound corny to say this, but she sends her love to everyone. She said that. But what she said to me, I want to give a message. If every single person out there, every person would plant a tree, one person, we transform the world and we could possibly reverse global warming. And she said, would you please tell people that? And it felt just in my heart very authentic that it was coming from her. And that's what she wanted to tell people.
Wow, in honor of her, because she was such a great, environmentalist, we did, put the charity back up for AmericanForest.org, and so if you would like to, remember the life of a truly remarkable woman as we again
Mark,
celebrate her life, this August, and her, dedication to the environment, if you'd like to, celebrate her with us, think about planting a tree in
the
her
best way to celebrate her life and her legacy. And
Yes,
she
yeah,
will be smiling from the other side whenever you plant a tree.
I
Very
bet
much.
you will. Now, to switch topics, but not really, I wanna talk a little bit about the painting behind you,
Yes.
that you did. If you could tell us a little bit about how you developed the painting, what
Well,
inspired it, just tell us a little bit about it.
I'd like to say there was a great noble story behind this. I did this a year ago. It was after Olivia died, and I just wanted to do something to honor her. I just posted this on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. It was from a photograph, I think taken in 1978, around the time she did Grease. I just loved it. I loved her hairstyle. It was the smile. And
Mm.
so it's just, this is a traditional watercolor where I then go over it with colored pencils. And that's how I give it the detail and the definition. So I hope I did her justice. I always
And
put love into these things. That's basically the story to it.
wow, it's beautiful. Now, if someone wanted to purchase it, they would contact Debbie, I take it, yes?
Yes,
Yes,
Debbie, she's
yeah,
representing me
yeah,
beautifully
here's
now.
his
I'll
manager.
do all the
Um,
information.
I have just a quick question about the painting. You said
Yes.
you did it in watercolor. When you do a watercolor, do you do the sketch first, or do you do a sketch first, or how
Oh,
do
I
you
always do the sketch first. When you're doing something this precise, you have to first sketch it out in pencil. I always use graphite, and I just do it very lightly, and then I start going over it with layers of watercolor. And I can do as many as 60 layers of watercolor because each one is very light, very translucent. That's how you build up depth.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah, and I cheat a little. I use a hair dryer. A lot of people sit and they literally wait for paint to dry. I don't have the time or the patience. I just get out the blow dryer and
That's so
dry.
fascinating. So
Yeah,
is it, so you have to use a special type of paper or the paper would be damaged, right?
it's just regular watercolor paper, which is a heavier
Oh,
weight.
yeah,
And
that's
I don't put a lot of excessive heat on it, just enough to get the paint to dry, and then I can put down my next layers. And then once that's done, I get out the colored pencils, and that's how I start getting a lot of the fine detail, like in the hair and so forth, especially in the eyes. think I told you I consider eyes the most important thing ever in a portrait. That's the one thing that's non-negotiable for me. You can fudge on a few other things, be a little loose, make some mistakes, but I find if you don't get the eyes right, I will throw it out and start over again. The eyes have to be right because that's where the soul of the person is. That's the personality. That's their inner self is speaking outward. And I always, always try to capture that.
Mhm.
And that's what I love about doing portraits.
I have another question about this art piece that's
Yeah,
kind of interesting just because I was such a huge fan of hers. Her voice is so unique.
beautiful. Yeah.
Did you get any special messages or did you feel her when you painted that?
Well, when I was
Yeah,
doing this,
she seems so pure to me. Is that how it feels when you paint?
that's how, I have maybe the unfair advantage that I actually met her in person, as I did, as rather than channeling her, I've met her. I know her personality. I know her warmth, her sincerity. This is, 1985 was almost 40 years ago. And I can remember it like it was yesterday. That's the impression she made on me. And I have to say, honestly, when I was just doing this, I was just feeling maybe the general energy, perhaps, of that. I was feeling the love, the warmth, as you said, the purity. Today is the first time I've ever tried to consciously contact her and ask her a question, which was, do you have a message for us? Anything you'd like to say? And she came through very quick about the trees. And I could just tell that's something that matters to her. I got the sense that she's working on the other side on our environment here on the earth. She cares deeply about this. She sees the peril we're in right now. And, because I do believe spirits work on the other side.
Oh
On
my
it.
God.
That's what I'm getting.
Incredible.
She's doing, and she wanted that message very much
I'm
to come
so
through.
glad you did this. Thank you so much.
Well,
That's
thank
exactly
you.
what we needed today. I mean, I just feel like there's so much negativity in the world, and it's so I mean, I feel like she's like a fairy and an angel, and just
I do too.
I mean, I really just uplifts me so
Yeah.
much. Well, I just wanted to also thank all of you for taking the time to come here and spend the day with us. This is Taco Tuesdays. If you have not had a chance to like and subscribe to this channel, or better yet, be a member or make a donation to AmericanForest.org in honor of Olivia Newton-John and her vision for the planet. All of that stuff
Great.
is greatly appreciated. I know that Chuck is excited to turn his attention to you. Tell him and me what you eating, what you drinking, what's going on out in YouTube land, Chuck. You see anybody out there who's got any special messages?
One I wanted to comment. She wrote in a few minutes ago. I work as Dr. Whimsy's assistant, and I've been making a lot of phone calls to people in her data. Well, Christy just put a message. I was so excited. Chuck called me yesterday. Well, Christy, I love talking to you too. I tell you, Whimsy, this is one of the things I love about the job you've given me. People, because I get people who are watching the show and I get feedback.
Oh, isn't it fun? Can you believe that
I love it very much.
you and I get stressed out a lot because we care so much about making sure everyone's happy.
We're empaths.
The matter is we stress out because we care about you guys. And if the show doesn't look right, if the lighting or if the sound goes out, our hearts are broken because we really are here just because we want everybody to have a good time.
Well, I think, Whimsy, we're both empaths, so we take on energy. That's why we tend to get stressed, and you and I both have to sometimes just ground ourselves out. But like right now doing the show, I just feel all the love. I feel the love from the viewers. I feel it from you. This is a good place to be, and I just saw my cat walk across. Shall I introduce her?
Of course. We love cats here on the show.
This is Sasha the Siamese. She is my heart.
Aww.
So I better put her down before she knocks something over.
She is a well-loved kitty.
Yeah. Well, you've had Meadows. Come on.
Yes, I do have kitty. Now, we have a special day today because we have a get-together later today where we are going to be talking about our book club. If people stick around at 6 o'clock, hopefully Sandra Rogers can join us, the author.
Yeah.
Have you enjoyed the book?
Look forward to it.
Have you enjoyed it? Have you enjoyed it?
I have loved the book. I have loved it. It's one of the best manuals for understanding the function of the chakras in the body, which is something I've been wanting to work on. Yeah. And she just makes it so simple. That's actually one of the things I'm going to bring up when we talk with her.
Yes.
I want to talk about that
That is the
ingredient.
same thing I wanna talk to her about because I feel it changes as we age. I feel like when we're younger, a lot of the energy goes to the second chakra, which is reproduction, and it
Yes,
has to go
exactly.
there because the baby needs to live, so we're putting all the energy there, but
That's
then
the point.
it can raise the vibration to the higher chakras because now we're not putting all that energy towards the new it now can
Yeah,
go towards us and our relationship with so it goes to the higher chakras. So
exactly.
I'm really excited to speak
I'm
with her.
excited. And she mentions in the book the crown chakra, I believe I'm saying this correctly, is represents the queen, which is her whole book about finding the queen. So you made an excellent point there about how we rise upward as we get older, as our priorities shift.
Yeah,
I love that.
it's really, really true.
Yeah.
Well, I know that, Chuck, you and I love people, and
Yes,
we
we.
have been, tracking a Hurricane Idalia. Have you heard about this thing?
Yes. Anybody's watching the news. I mean, it's scary. We just had one hit California. Mainly it hit Baja, but Southern California, where I am, we had an earthquake that day too. And now Florida's getting hit. I understand the Gulf waters are so warm that it's just fostering a hurricane after hurricane right now, trying to blow off this pressure.
Well, for those people who are in the hurricane's way, we just wanna say that we love and care about you all, and we are sending good prayers, and I think that we will, keep it on in the background for people because I do think people want us to,
Yeah.
track the hurricane, so we're happy to do that for people to,
Oh,
keep it on in the background or to refer
hope and
back
pray
to it
be
for
okay.
people. I'm sorry, what was that?
Oh, I just said I hope and pray that people are going to be okay.
Yeah, so we will go back to it. We can certainly, go and, check, throughout the show just to make sure that our friends in Florida are okay. Is everybody hunkered down and ready to go? Hopefully, yeah. I mean, it's like you said, Chuck, it's really, a very, very, scary, scary
No,
time.
I know. May
Well,
everybody be
yeah.
safe and blessed. Stay dry.
Mhm.
Stay calm. Stay sheltered.
Yeah, have you ever been in that kind of weather before?
No, not that I can recall. I mean, I'm from the East Coast. I grew up in Virginia. We used to get hurricanes that would go up that far. I was about 250 miles inland, my hometown. So we would get like a lot of the residual rain and wind and so forth. But I was never in the direct path of a hurricane. Have you ever been in one?
No, I don't think I have. I've been in
Yeah,
some crazy weather, I used to
yeah,
work as a caterer. I used to cater, and, we've been in some bad weather on the boats.
yeah.
I would do some day catering, and, I almost went down with the ship a couple times. I
Oh
mean,
my,
because they're smaller boats, and
yeah,
if you get
yes,
we would leave people would wanna get out of the Puget Sound, and they would wanna go into the wild ocean. They would, like, rent for 8 to 10 hours. If the
yeah,
weather was bad, God help them. I mean,
yeah.
it was pretty darn crazy, but, so that's I mean, it was the scariest experience I ever had was that I'm gonna try and find something here because there's a weird news thing I wanna talk to you guys about, but, the weirdest experience I ever had is we decided that we were gonna go out deep into sea, and we wound up in some bad weather,
Oh
and,
my,
I was ordered to get into the galley, is that what the I can't even remember,
yeah,
what it's called these days, but I was because they wanted to secure the galley equipment or whatever the thing was.
yeah.
And it was rocking so badly. It was the
Oh
whole
my
entire
God.
ship was rocking so badly that when I got into where the ship was trying to secure all the kitchen equipment, that at one point my, chef ordered me down on the ground. I got down on the ground behind the coffee percolator. I was like this in my emergency equipment, and every time the ship would go sideways, I literally could see the ocean, like, I would be like this,
Oh,
and then come back up,
oh
and
my
then
goodness.
and then I remember thinking as I'm in this situation it went on for maybe an hour, hour and a half, and I
Oh,
remember sitting there in this emergency
yeah.
situation, hunkering in place. I remember thinking, Well, what goes up must come down. So every time, you would think, oh my God, this nightmare is over because it would go like this.
Yeah.
And we would literally be like this sideways on the
Oh,
boat.
poor
And then
thing.
the boat would come this, and I'd be like, oh, thank God. Oh. And then it would just strengthen it to go even more. Oh, it was terrifying.
I'm getting seasick
Oh,
just listening to you.
it was.
I get motion sickness easily. I would be.
All right.
I wouldn't handle that too well. You're a brave woman, Whimsy.
Oh, you don't know the half of it. So
You've had adventure in your life.
I have had way too many adventures. So we got to talk about some weird news. All right. Dr.
Weird
Freak Out.
news. Okay. Tell me about the news, Whimsy.
I don't.
Saw that.
Would I
saw that on the
disappoint
news
you when it
earlier.
comes to weird note? Would I disappoint you when it comes to the weird news, honey?
Oh,
The weird news is that a woman was having mild depression. She was having symptoms. Now, here are some symptoms. Excuse me.
mhm.
Here are symptoms that you all know about. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, and
Yeah.
various different persons. We all have experienced mild depression. True or false?
Yes, I have.
So you go to the doctor because you're experiencing some mild depression, fatigue, or
Mhm.
whatever, and some strange neurological symptoms. So they locate something in your brain and they think it's a tumor. This was fascinating to me because I'm a doctor.
Yes.
But the thing
yes.
was moving. The thing
And
was
you taught
moving.
me about the brain when you were training me to be an NDA.
Mm, right. So if you look at this picture, I mean, uh, the thing is that it wasn't a tumor. The thing was moving around.
Mm-hmm.
When they went in, when it was a female surgeon, when she went in, it was moving, and then she finally grabbed the tissue
Yeah.
and she had it on the forceps, and it was wiggling on the forceps.
Yes.
And the physician actually became somewhat hysteric, and she
Can
put
only
it
imagine.
out like this, and she said to her assistant and her surgery assistant, uh, "This would have been your job, Chuck."
Yes. This would have been my job, huh?
She said to the surgery assistant,
Yeah.
"Take this thing from me,"
Oh God.
because it was like.
In the movie Alien, remember that creature that bursts out of the people's chests? That
Yes.
monster?
Well, that was what it was like for the surgeon because
Yeah.
of all the things that you would
Oh my
expect to
gosh.
see inside of a person's brain. It
Yeah.
wouldn't be an actual worm. And the
Yeah.
woman lives in Australia, and the particular type of worm that she contracted was from seagrass. And
I
what
saw.
she was collecting seagrass, washing it and cooking it, which is common, excuse me, common in that part of the world.
Yeah.
And she became infected by the worm.
Mhm.
I guess it's larva, and it went through the bloodstream and made its way. Somehow it crossed the blood-brain
I
barrier.
was just going to say,
Yeah.
because when you were educating me about the brain, I remember that came up in my training. It's not easy to cross the blood-brain barrier. Aren't the molecules, don't they have to be very small to get through?
Yeah, and that's one of
Yeah.
the things, like a monoamine. You and I have talked about monoamines, different
Yeah.
types of amino acids that can cross. But
Right.
yeah, it has to be a pretty small molecule. So it's
Incredibly.
yeah, they said it was just like a freak, a freak thing.
Yeah, that's something. It would had to have been something so small you could only see with an electron microscope, probably, for it to grow that big.
Yeah.
And then for the woman to be able to even function. I'm amazed it didn't impair a lot of other of her motor skills and capabilities.
Yeah, absolutely crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh, as someone just said, alcohol can cross. Yeah, that one we do know. Alcohol can cross the blood.
Yeah, ethanol. Mhm.
Yes, we found that one out. But I saw that on the news maybe about an hour and a half ago when I was getting ready for the show. I was just watching news stories and I was like, oh, you know what the newscaster said? When they found out she was eating seagrass, the newscaster said, well, that's a good argument for just eating junk food. It's a lot safer.
Oh my God.
No.
Excuse me. Well, if you haven't had a chance to share, like, subscribe, man, would Chuck and I love that. Also,
We would. We
if
love
you
that very much.
think about being a member. Awesome possum, excuse me, Oh my God. Is there anything else we need to announce other than be sure to check out the merch? Do you have a new shirt?
The merch.
Yes, your shirt. What's going on? No, but you're wearing.
Shirt. Look at that. I just got a new shirt because the shirt I was sent originally was about 3 sizes too big. Now I have a shirt.
My fault.
No, it's okay. Now I have a shirt that fits, and now you can see the beautiful logo
Oh, I love it.
that Debbie designed for Whimsy.
Yes, and I actually like you in black. I think black is your perfect color.
I think it's my
Oh,
too.
I just now noticed the coffee cup. So
Well,
your
thank you.
coffee design is different than mine. This is the one that Debbie Brady did that I love of the yeah, it's a great way to support the channel. We do sell merch. I am wearing, of course, one of my mine.
Yeah.
I
Debbie
love
did a
it.
beautiful
Love the
job.
merch.
It worked for me too.
And of course, today, for those people who don't know, we are excuse me, I'm sorry, something's setting me up. We are raising money for AmericanForest.org. That is our charity. We are doing it as part of a celebration of life, an anniversary of the passing of Olivia Newton-John. They've been celebrating her and her songs all month long, and man, have I been enjoying them. I really, it really brings back a lot of memories for me.
Well, it's the fact that I got that message from Olivia today shows that she's very much aware of this charity and what we're doing. And I think that's why she tailored her message to this, to tell everybody to plant a tree. Just if every single person planted one tree, what a difference that would make.
I agree.
But that was beautiful. Yeah.
You know what I think would be fun right about now?
What would be fun?
I think we should do the empath's prayer.
Okay, let's do it. Let's do it.
We turn the camera around, say hi to the audience, see what people are eating and drinking. If they have, excuse me, I don't know what's setting me off. I think it's, I got a hair in my throat. I'm really allergic. I love my cat, but sometimes.
Yeah, I hope you're not allergic to Mila.
I'm very allergic to Mila.
Oh,
I love her to death.
That's an allergy I'd be very sad to have.
No, the problem is I'm allergic to a lot of stuff, but her hairs get on the thing.
Yeah.
And sometimes I breathe them. So I have to wash it periodically.
Well, you know, I with my cat, I would not get rid of her even if I had allergies. I'd take the shots or whatever I had to do.
Yeah, that's, I mean, yeah, I would never, my cat is my life. Absolutely not.
I know she is. I love Mila. I used to babysit Mila. When Whimsy would have to go away for a few days, her cat sitter.
And my cat loved him so much she ran away so you wouldn't leave. It's true. He was like, I gotta go. And what did she do? She ran out the door.
Yes.
Ran over the fence to a neighbor's house. So that because she knew that it would keep you there.
That's right. I forgot about that. Your cat held me hostage. Held me hostage because I was going to come to your place for about half an hour, 45 minutes, look in on her, spend some time. I had to stay at your place almost 8 hours until we found your cat. And she knew exactly what she was doing.
Yeah, she didn't want you to leave. She was lonely. She's very social. Yeah. Well, let's do the empath's prayer. We invite all of you to join us. And please feel free to ask us questions. And of course, share what you're eating and drinking during this Taco Tuesday. And again, also, we want to repeat, feel free to throw a couple dollars towards the AmericanForest.org if you got a couple bucks, because it's a really great organization. I say we do the empath's prayer. What do you say?
I say let's do it. And Sasha agrees.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay. I want to call on white light protection for myself and this community as we ask permission from Spirit to access the Akashic records. We call on our spirit guides and good angels to be with us. Please give us the clarity and the wisdom that is needed to empower all of us on our journeys to make the best decisions for ourselves, our families, the planet, the people we love, but also to help those that we may have strife with. And together, collectively, we say, Amen.
Amen.
Amen, everyone. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. Well, let's say hi to some people. What do you say? I'm sure there's a lot of cool. I think there's a lot of people here. Ooh, we got 260 people here.
We
Hi,
do.
Barton. Hello, Barton Tom. How are you, Mr. Barton Tom? Hello to Joel.
Oh, Barton.
Debbie Barton is here. Debbie's here. Joel. K Travel Tarot is here. A very close friend of mine. and a really great cook. I went over to her house one day and I expected her to do out. She wasn't feeling well. You know, she ended up making me this amazing pasta dinner.
Oh my God.
And then she was apologizing. I forgot to serve this salad. And I couldn't believe it. I like showed up with my guitar. I thought we were going to hang out. She starts like tossing pasta. It was fantastic.
Oh,
She was not feeling well. So that's my friend Kay. Great to see you, Kay.
endlessly. I love Italian food.
Me too. I think it's what is Italian your favorite? I think it might.
Yes, without question, it's my favorite.
So if you were on a deserted island, you would want it to be in the Mediterranean.
I would think so. Yes, that's a very good point.
I think I could settle for an island in India.
Yeah.
An island in the Mediterranean would probably be the diet that would be healthiest for me, because when you
Well,
think about you don't need to eat a lot of meat. I mean, it's mostly fish, you know, hummus, vegetables. I mean, like when I think about Mediterranean food, when I went on my cruise of the Mediterranean, most of what I ate was vegetables and
yeah,
fish, and
yeah.
a lot of vegan, because
A
they
lot
had
of omegas.
they had fresh fish even for breakfast.
Oh, that would be heaven.
Yeah,
Sure.
so I felt fantastic.
Well, you know, my only experience, I was in Italy many, many years ago in Venice primarily, but oh my God, I don't know if I was eating healthy or not, but I was eating very well. Italian food is soul food for me.
Mm,
Just,
yeah.
yeah, it speaks
Mm.
to me.
Well,
Yeah.
Marjorie Harrison is right there with you with a nice, healthy leftover fish with homemade mango salsa. She's a lady who likes good food. I
I'm
love
getting
mango salsa.
very hungry right now. Well, let's see. Do we have any questions here?
Well, where did you get the monster from? Did it taste good? Oh, I don't know what that was. Might have been that. Which monster are they talking about?
Are they talking about the brain monster, the worm, or
I don't know. I think they're talking about food.
yeah?
People, you know, people come in and they love to talk about their favorite food. August is sandwiched between two supermoons, says Geocosmic Valentine. You know, the serpent. We have the serpent moon, and
Yeah.
then after the serpent moon, we have the harvest moon.
Yeah.
And that's when people go out and harvest the wheat.
It was so beautiful last night. I actually took some pictures last night.
Oh, really?
Well, you know, my zodiac sign is Cancer, so I'm just naturally magnetized to the moon, and when it's
Oh,
big
wow.
like this, it feels nurturing to me. Very nurturing. I just, it's irresistible. I want to go outside. I just want to stand in the moonlight.
Did you
I
see
don't
the
howl. I don't turn into a werewolf.
Did you see the movie Moonstruck? Bellissimo.
Yes.
La luna, la luna.
Luna.
We have to do that for next week. When is Harvest Moon now? Is Harvest Moon now?
You know, that's a good question. Here I am talking about the moon. I don't even know the name of this. I know it is another supermoon, but I forget the name. Wait, isn't this the blue moon?
I don't know, but I freaking
I
love it.
heard that because someone was bringing up that old cliche, once in a blue moon, and how that applies now.
That's a good key for me. You got me standing alone. Ooh, Jen Bowles is eating super snap peas and green goodies. Yum,
That's
yum.
so
Cod
good.
fillets and homemade mango salsa. We talked about that.
Oh my
That sounds
God. This
I
is
think
unfair. I'm getting
what you
hungry.
want. Would you like that sandwich between a taco? I think I would.
Love that.
The
And I just,
mango- yeah.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm sorry.
I was interrupting you. I
Oh,
apologize.
no, I was just saying the harvest blue moon is tomorrow. So that's what it is.
Oh,
Right. The harvest blue moon.
oh,
And it's the
okay.
second full moon in a month.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So we should have done that. We should have done
Well, for
should
the
have
future.
done the blue moon. I guess I could have Moon River. I've been practicing Moon River.
Oh,
It
on
is
the violin?
Moon River, wider than a mile. No, on the guitar, just like the original.
Just like Audrey Hepburn, Breakfast at Tiffany's. You know, that's still the best version of that song. You know, if you've ever seen the movie, when she sings, it's just so, you know, like you said about Olivia, just very pure, very simple, very sincere. I don't think anyone ever topped that. Yeah. Well, except you. Maybe you can top Moon River. You sing beautifully. And I've heard you play the violin. You do it so well.
First question people want to know about the weather and about this hurricane that's coming. What are you feeling like it could dissipate into nothing, or do you think that we have a serious problem on our hands with the hurricane?
So far, it looks like a serious problem. I think it's at a, I don't know, I haven't seen the news in the last couple of hours, but I think it's presently a category 2. Maybe one of our viewers would have some more information. But from what I was seeing, because it's traveling across all of this warm water, which includes the lakes, rivers, and things, it's just intensifying. And
Oh my
building.
God.
Yeah.
You know, I'm feeling when I go into the energy on the hurricane, I feel like we are, you know, despite all the crazy political talk, we are getting proactive about levees. You've got that nice magician energy coming in. So I feel like we are going to take control of the situation. But this hurricane is Ida, is that her name? What is the name of it? Idalia.
Yeah.
Hurricane Idalia. You know, it's kind of interesting when you go into the energy of Hurricane Idalia. It has this kind of feminine aspect. But what's also interesting is that Idalia presents as a fire queen, even though it's a water. And I think it's because it's just so damn hot.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that has me nervous. It has me, you know, you look at the size of the eye, man. That
Well,
scares me to death.
well, you know, something that's interesting. One of our viewers was just commenting about the 2 super moons, and now this huge hurricane. We know moons control the tides, the waters, energy on Earth, and you also the moon is considered a feminine energy. So that's an interesting tie-in.
Well, the other thing that freaks me out is if you look at the direction this hurricane is headed, I mean, that looks to me like it's headed towards the Panhandle.
It sure does. Sure does.
So yeah, fire. Are you getting a yes or no on your pendulum?
Oh,
I mean, because I'm getting that. Yeah, we are proactive, but damn, you don't.
I'm
want
getting.
to go up
Oh
against
yeah,
it,
yeah. Big yes. Yeah. Big yes. Oh my God, the tides. It's just. I don't know. I have a feeling we're going to see some real tragedy as this unfolds. So everybody say your prayers for these people, please.
Yeah, I feel also you have this strong military presence over Idalia. So again, this is looking to me as the reader like we're looking at us taking control. We've got the military here, you know, but look at this force, this heat. Damn, I can't get over. I keep look at the size of this eye.
No, I know.
The eye is half the size. I can't believe the size of this thing. I mean, that is like half the size of Florida.
I know that. How many times have we seen a hurricane of that magnitude and scale?
Well, it goes back off if you take a look, Chuck. I'm sorry, I'm interrupting. If you take a look at this system, it's doing exactly what you said, Chuck. It's taken on a second leg.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I'm just looking at this. It's just, what do you say?
Well, final outcome, 8 of Swords. So I think if not, it's going to be definitely people are going to be restricted over the next couple of days. We can't go on like this, though. They're going to have to do something.
Well, I'm imagining there are going to be massive power failures all throughout the state, and I'm sure even surrounding areas. The electrical grids. I wonder how far-reaching that's going to be. Internet and.
See, I am such an eternal optimist, though, because I really do think that human beings will find a way to make it work.
I do believe that too.
Yeah,
we're seeing evidence of that already.
So it looks like huge gains are taking place in Ukraine, in the war in Ukraine. This is something else that people are talking about. I guess a large group of Russian soldiers got trapped out of Luhansk. Then they're now moving into Crimea. They've crossed the Dnieper, and I guess today a bunch of soldiers wound up trapped. So that's kind of optimistic about Ukraine.
Yeah. I'm astounded this war has gone on as long as it has. Because are we at the 1.5 year point?
I think so. Yeah. You want to check and see yes or no if you think it's coming to an end soon, or what's your energy feeling about?
Soon. It's okay. I'm getting a no. I'm getting a no.
See, I'm seeing the counteroffensive, and I'm seeing that Russia lost the war again, and it always says the same thing. You know, Prigozhin lost. Prigozhin died.
Yeah.
What's interesting about Prigozhin is when I went into the remotes on Prigozhin, I wound up in a remote where I was having a conversation with MI6. And the head of MI6 told me that I had permission to tell people that they were paying the Russians to give up locations of the Russian army,
Yeah.
that they were paying Wagner, that they were communicating with Wagner, and that they were going to cause a rebellion in Wagner, that they were going to pay Wagner, and that they were going to do this, and that everybody would know what I knew in 3 weeks. And then the rebellion happened. And then they found the money, which Wagner had paid them in Ukrainian money. No, excuse me. The MI6 had paid Wagner, and then the money came up. And then when I followed the energy,
Yeah.
MI6 had told they had told Wagner that we can get you out, but we can't guarantee after you leave. We can't guarantee your safety, and that's pretty much what happened to the guy.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I don't know. I'm stumped on this. I don't know what to say.
So we have Chariot, which is the offense. This is the counteroffensive. So you have this massive Chariot moving in, which I'm assuming is the Ukrainian. So this is because they held back the fresh soldiers, and they're also getting training and foreign fighters that are fresh going in for the final Chariot.
Yeah.
You can see the opposition has a death card. I feel like my money is not in Ukraine as Russia. I feel like I've got to accept the fact that I can blame Prigozhin and get the hell out of there. You can see here also there's a need for logic. And then the final outcome here is Queen of Wands, who seeks justice. Absolutely. She's also territory queen. So this is why, because death falls in the house of Russia, I never feel like they're going to win. I always feel like they lose.
Yeah. I don't know. It was interesting when I asked the question on the pendulum. I'm just getting this sense it's still going to be prolonged. That's what I was getting. I was getting a no, even though, as you said, the Russians have lost. Well, I think they lost a long time ago, but I just think that it's like beating a dead horse. But I don't know if you're getting any of that from your reading.
No, I think that's. I mean, it's really horrible, and all we can do is pray. But I thought it was a really interesting insight that MI6 was simply going to pay Russian soldiers to leave. And when you speak to MI6 as a remote viewer, the feeling is, well, of course they're leaving. We pay you better than Russia does. They're getting paid in rubles, which are worthless, and they can be paid in euro by MI6 to leave, to sabotage, to give up locations. Why wouldn't they? They don't want to be there when they can pocket money and gifts from MI6 and get protection and desert. So it's going to be very hard going forward if everybody is turning and taking Western money for him to continue to maintain this, when his soldiers are thinking, why the hell am I going to be in this crap hole? I didn't want to be here anyway. And they're offering 20 euro on the ruble. Why the hell would I stay here?
Yeah, exactly. Solid euros. Whimsy, we have a question here. We asked, Jack Smith has been asking about Rudy's drinking. I'm assuming Rudy Giuliani's drinking, and whether Donnie knew, Donald Trump, I'm assuming, knew he was being given legal advice by a drunk person per the Georgia case and the outcome. That was the question. How do you feel about that?
Well, I mean, this has come up in the remote views, right? When we look at it as professional empaths, you and I have had conversations about this, that, what you take away is that this is the slow, steady decline of an addict. And what we learned from Rudy Giuliani is that he is an addict. Yes. And what we saw in his fall was we saw the fall of an addict. A drug addict, an alcoholic, a womanizer, and his addictions take him out.
Yeah.
You want to throw on the future of Rudy Giuliani? I mean,
yes.
Is he going to prison? I mean, it's a simple question.
Oh, yes. I want to know that one. Is Rudy Giuliani going to prison? I'm getting a yes. What are you getting?
Yes. I feel, gosh,
Yeah.
Chuck, there's so many things I could say about Rudy Giuliani with these cards. It's
Yeah.
just, oh my God, where can I begin?
I know.
Seven of Cups. He's in his cups and completely out of his mind. This is an alcoholism card. You're so drunk. You're getting the bends. You're seeing phantoms. The man is out of his mind from alcoholism. Seven of Cups. He's in his cups so far. He's seeing phantoms.
Mhm.
His opposition. I'm sorry. Please go ahead. Did you have a question? I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just saying it's tragic.
We have like a 2-second delay, Chuck and I, and we try
I'm sorry.
desperately not to interrupt each other, but because of the delay, we sometimes do. So Ten of Swords is Donald Trump's, his opposition, Ten of Swords. So he is stabbed in the back. So his own attorney sold him out. So you have Giuliani drunk out in the clouds, and you have the person he's legally represented stabbed in the back.
Mhm.
But here's the other thing. When that Debbie Brady is pointing out that Cor Smith mentioned is that he was taking legal advice from a drunk. So what does that tell you? It tells you that it goes back to the remotes we had talked about, where they're all going and checking in, all 19 of them, and they're pissed off and angry. And what did they do? They said it was Rudy's fault.
Mhm.
So here we are.
Here we are.
So the question is, why you got stabbed in the back by this drunk, which means that you're one of his victims, which means you need to flip. You need to flip, Donnie, and you've got this issue. Here's the outcome: police raid.
Gee.
So not only is Giuliani finished, but there's more police actions against him.
Makes perfect sense. Perfect sense. I can't say I'm surprised by anything you're saying right now. It's hard not to feel sad for these people as much as, we vilify them. We're empaths, and this is just a huge tragedy. It's an American tragedy. Is what it is. Yeah.
Agreed. Now, we had a really interesting question about the fact that there have been a lot of recent discoveries of strange life that we didn't know existed. Now, there's a couple of different reasons why we see strange forms of life that we've never discovered before. One reason is because some life forms can cloak, and they cloak so well that we don't discover them. Do you think there's a lot of different forms of life we just haven't discovered because of technical reasons, or what do you think?
In the vastness of this universe, there has to be other life. There have to be other civilizations. Who knows how many are maybe here on Earth, as you said, cloaking themselves, disguising themselves, maybe even taking human form for all we know. But I believe they're around.
It's so fascinating.
Yeah.
We had a question that came in from John Weber about the megalodon shark. There's been some sightings. The question is, if we could ask the cards, is it possible that there are some of them still around and they never really went extinct? The megalodon shark.
Mm.
Goes in deeper waters, so might have been undetected. I think they found some carcasses that lead them to believe.
Yeah.
I'm getting maybe yes.
Well, you just took the word out of my mouth, because I was getting, when a pendulum goes between the yes and the no, that's a maybe. And it was kind of like maybe yes. I got the same answer as you then.
You know what I got? I got small nesting pairs.
Really? Really?
Small nesting pairs, yeah. So say you had a remote area of a very secure little tribe, all hunkered down, nice and safe with no predators, a small population that doesn't grow too much, and it stays hidden, this society of this particular shark. I mean, they have their own communication, whatever, and that they remain. The only time this group with this type of energy would come out and be discovered or be in an environment that humans could discover them would be if this environment is somehow threatened and we push them out of that ecosystem, either due to global warming or something like that. And if that happens, we may start discovering them. Isn't that crazy?
It is wild. It's wild.
Yeah, absolutely crazy. Well, that's not the only thing that's crazy that's been going on lately. I mean, a lot of people are saying that there could be crazy things going on in labs. We're not supposed to be making freaks. We're not supposed to be using the knowledge that we currently have in genetics
Hmm.
to be creating
Hmm.
species of various different critters, right? But the truth is that people are concerned that there could be illegal labs doing game theory. Say, for example, we do get a mastodon and we try to cross a mastodon with a frog in an illegal biolab somewhere that can
Oh,
bypass FDA laws. What do you end up producing?
God only knows.
Well, this is one of the theories that has been coming out now. I don't know if it's true, but we can certainly talk about it, about what could be potentially happening right now in Peru.
And it's been caught on tape and all over the news. This is Telemundo's coverage of the events as they unfolded, with translations in English on the screen.
Los habitantes le disparan a los
These are the
supuestos
face
seres,
eaters.
como ven, en medio de la noche.
Los vecinos dicen que están aterrorizados. Ellos describieron a los entes como gigantes que miden casi 7 pies de altura y que visten trajes que parecen de astronautas. Vamos a escuchar.
This gentleman here is describing the extraterrestrials as about 7 feet tall and dressed almost like astronauts, with their clothes covering their body and protecting them, presumably from our atmosphere.
Los miembros de la comunidad están haciendo vigilias por las noches para protegerse y tratar de capturar a los supuestos seres extraterrestres que dicen habrían atacado a una joven.
This isn't the first time Peruvians have dealt with this problem, actually capturing the entities on camera in 2018. Check this out.
They say seeing is believing, but
You got
with
a-
Stearns and
you got a
Foster,
commercial
that's only
there.
part
Oh
of
my
the story.
God.
We handcraft every Stearns and Foster using the finest materials, like indulge.
What do you
This was recorded by one of the villagers in
Yes.
2018.
Like-
Not only does their reaction make me feel like this is genuine, but the way that this creature is moving through the trees, and the trees actually hiding it like it's behind the objects, it's not hyperimposed or superimposed on it. Like, I think this is very authentic. Look how lanky this thing is. Its neck is so thin and long.
You want to talk about it?
Oh my goodness. Well, the first thing that occurred to me when they mentioned 7-foot creatures, I was thinking of Avatar. The giant, the blue creatures over 7 feet tall. I couldn't help but think of that. Yeah.
So is it CGI? Is it a game?
Oh, that's a hard thing to answer these days, because CGI has become so accessible to people and it's so sophisticated now. It's not impossible. What's your own feeling on that?
I think it's real.
You do. You do.
I think that they captured something. I think it's real. I think that there are beings that are cloaking that, and we as scientists have to humble ourselves.
Is it
I
real?
think that they are in remote areas where they want to be left alone. I think it's some type of either a human, who the hell knows? But I think it's real. I think we have to acknowledge that this stuff is out there. My concern is that it's a freaking biolab freak. That's what people are scared about. They're attacking and eating people.
Yeah, that's terrifying. But I had not asked my pendulum. I just did, and people could see I was getting a yes, which concurs with what you're saying.
That they are real, right?
They're real. That's the question I asked.
So so they're real. So we have I think it's real. I think that we have found something. I don't know. We don't know what this thing is. Maybe what is the audience saying, Chuck?
What is that? I heard someone here say they look like the ones that crashed here in Vegas. Wasn't that Rockwell, New Mexico, or something near Vegas? I can't remember. I think that's what started the whole craze in the 1950s. I could be very wrong on this, but I think that was in 1948. They supposedly found the corpse of an alien, and that inspired all the little green men and the flying saucer stories in the 50s and all the science fiction. So that's what somebody was just mentioning about near Vegas. See if there are any other comments here. Oh yes, Roswell, New Mexico. That's where it was.
So that was 1948. And then there was film footage from the family where a evacuation pod, evidently, because we think that their ship was shot down because their cloaking was messed up based on a remote. So so a ship was coming back in. Their cloaking was malfunctioning when they re-entered the atmosphere. The U.S. shot it down. They escaped through an escape pod, according to the remote. The escape pod crashed in people's homes in the back of their home in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
A fake group put out a fake CGI image of a fake monster and then debunked it. Meanwhile, it has nothing to do with this family. And they're like, we didn't put that out. We weren't claiming that had anything to do with us. The real film footage got buried, and the real film footage looked like that thing.
Yeah.
Which makes it's some kind of species or something. I don't know.
Someone was even asking if they could have underwater bases.
Yes, that's one of the things that they're finding is they're finding weird stuff at bases. Yeah. I call them Homo glaucus because I'm an anthropologist by training.
No,
and one of the things we learn is that there are different splinters. You know, we had Homo erectus, we had various, and they die out. We thought they died out, but what if they didn't die out? What if they simply cloaked and went deeper into the caves?
Maybe a long period of dormancy, hibernation, dormancy.
Yeah, and they were timid beings. Maybe they evolved completely differently, and who the heck knows what happened after that?
You know, it's just so intriguing that they're coming forth now. All the things going on in the world. And I thought that what we saw there, that didn't look to me like a face eater. The face eaters were totally different. What that guy showed was the light beings, but there's also face eaters, and they found dead people with their faces peeled off. And one of the rumors is that it's freaks escaping from these illegal biolabs. And quite frankly, I'm thinking, well, why not? If we had the scientific capacity to do this, why wouldn't we? Why not make slaves to freak monster slaves that are going to protect the mining? Why not do anything you like if you don't have the FDA breathing down? If you have the capacity to splice genes and put part frogman with part, why not do it? Why wouldn't you? Well, there are people who I would not see this as an ethical issue and probably would.
Yeah. So I think there's no reason why you wouldn't. And so for that reason, I think as scientists, we have to be humble, not dismiss, oh, well, it's illegal. You're not allowed to. Yes, in the United States. But what if you were to have an illegal lab or a lab that could bypass, and you were doing your research in Wuhan to bypass U.S. You see what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying. I agree.
Crazy. Wow. What a fun was this not a fun
show? Yeah. And we've got our book club coming up.
We do. Unfortunately, I do not see the beautiful, amazing Sandra in our green room. I don't know what's going on.
Not in our green room?
No. Hopefully, I don't know what happened.
Her book is incredible. I've been reading it. She's not here. Maybe we can just talk a little bit about it. You know, it tied in for me. You know, it's written for women.
I'm sorry, I have to interrupt. I just want to, just before we get started, I wanted to thank everybody for attending. Like and subscribe. We are going to move on now. And we actually have the 6 o'clock book club starting now. For those of you who joined us for Taco Tuesday, thank you so much. For those of you who still want to hang out with us, we have a monthly book club that meets at the last Tuesday of the month. See, Chuck was so excited to talk about the book, he forgot to even do the introduction, but that's cool. Unfortunately, we're having a technical glitch, but when things work themselves out, absolutely we'll have Sandra Rogers back in the studios. So now we are going to talk about the book club, if you are a member of the book club. And so let's get started with that. We want to start by saying, first off, that the book we chose, if you're just joining us for the Book of the Month Club, is Inviting the Queen, and it was written by Sandra Rogers. And I think it's absolutely incredible. Chuck, do you want to tell our audience a little bit about the book and the synopsis? Tell them a little bit about it.
Well, I love the book personally, so much that I'm going to give it as gifts to a few people. I know. It coincided for me. You want to talk about the universe in action. I've been very intrigued about learning more about my chakras as far as balancing them, but also the meanings of the chakras. And that's a big theme in this book.
Yes.
Because the book is about empowerment. It's about finding balance, uh, expression, owning who you are. And she ties that in so beautifully with the chakras 1 through 7 and explains it in the book in such a way that's so easy to understand and absorb. So, I've been thrilled. I was assigned to read the book because you said we were going to do an interview, and the book just ended up being something that I personally have resonated with. It's written to empower women, but if she were here, I would say, as a man, I feel empowered also by this because, we encompass the male and the female in us. And I'd love to have asked her more about this because I feel it's tapping into my feminine power, but also integrating the masculine. I don't know if you had that feeling when you read it, but I
I
feel that's
love this book.
balance.
So yeah, but the reason I wanted you to be the one to open and talk about it is because I wanted a male perspective. I mean, I know how I feel about the book,
Yeah.
but I wanted you to tell me.
Oh, I completely,
Can you tell them a
completely.
little bit? I'm sorry to interrupt. Can you tell them a little bit about the basic premise that she is working with, what she means when she talks about the queen, the ages, or do you want me to do that? Or
I think we can both talk about it, but I'll go first. In the beginning of the book, she goes into mythology and archetypes, I think, just to pave the way leading up to the queen. And she discusses the traditional roles of a woman as a young woman during childbearing years, as she gets older and progresses ultimately to an elderly woman, which the archetype is the crone. Crone, has had a lot of negative connotations. We think ugly old woman crone, but she points out that the crone was actually a very revered archetype, someone that people respected. But that was a privilege accorded to few women. Women and men most used to die young, rarely living beyond their 30s and 40s. Now people live commonly into their 90s, up to 100. And so she felt there needs to be an archetype between young woman and crone for our age range, I think. The regal queen, the queen that represents the higher chakra. You said something beautiful to me earlier, how we focus on the lower chakra when we're younger, because that's about childbearing, reproduction. As we go older, we move up the chakra scale and ultimately to the crown, which is the queen. And the queen is where we accept that we are regal, we are powerful, we are in that power, we express that freely. I thought that was beautiful.
yeah, when I read the book, I thought about the stages of what it is to be a woman. And we start off as the maiden, then we become the mother, and then we become the crone. And she actually gave four, it was maiden, mother, queen, and crone. And my first emotional response when I read the book was, um, well, I want to be queen forever. I don't know if I want to go from queen to crone because she talks about queen and then she talks about like moving on to crone. And when I think about the crone, because what you said is true, like women didn't really live for that long. And so the fact that you would even survive long enough to be a crone was in and of itself a rarity. Like, oh, we didn't have many of them, but they were often in Europe in widow's black. And so you would see these elderly women in widow's black, and
Yeah,
you would assume they were a witch.
that's a
There's
good
something
point.
really terrifying about an old lady in widow's black. And women were expected to wear widow's black. I mean, we talked about this, right?
Yes, we did. I remember that from the book Gone with the Wind. If you
Mhm.
remember, Scarlett became a very young widow and she was being forced to wear black widow's weeds. The movie kind of glossed over that, but in the novel, they went into much more detail about how a woman was basically expected to wear black for the rest of her life. And I'm sure it was very scary.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things she does is one of the things in the book that Sandra Rogers talks about is she talks about the fact that there are different cultures, and this is something we talk about in anthropology. In the Western culture, we are dominated, females are dominated by males, but in African culture, you'll often have co-leadership where the women have their leadership role and the men have their leadership role. Whereas here we're just subjected to crap, you know? I mean, you read this book and it's hard. You read the first 30, 40 pages. It's hard not to feel angry.
I can imagine for a woman, yes, absolutely. I could feel, you know, I'm very empathetic toward women's causes, and I felt that myself. And she pointed out the few examples, like Queen Nefertiti, Queen
Yes.
Elizabeth I, when women were given power in those days, they were actually among the greatest world leaders we've ever known in the history of humanity.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, I agree. On page 31, this is when she talks about like you know, you have the dominator, and then but in you know, this idea of co-partnership is something, for example, that we see in Nigeria amongst the Igbo, where the females took control of the marketplace and the males they were taking control of they were farmers. They would work because it made sense. We don't, you know, we can plow the field and then you go sell the mangoes or whatever we're producing, right? So everybody has a job, everybody's important. So the women would be in the market selling her husband's stuff, and she
Yeah.
would handle the money. So that was the Igbo tradition. So when the British showed up in Nigeria, they said, "We want to talk to your menfolk about taxes." Well, how do you think the Igbo women handled that? They said, "What are you talking to them for? Why aren't you talking to us? We handle the marketplace. They're the farmers. Why are you going to the farmers to talk about the price of
Yeah.
the mangoes? You come to us to talk about the price of the mangoes. What are you talking to them for? They're useless.
Exactly.
We run the marketplace."
Yeah.
The British, who were just trying to tax the Igbo, they didn't even know what the hell to do. They're like, "No, you bring your husbands." What the hell? We have no idea what you're talking about. Why are you asking the men to come and handle the marketplace? So the men wandered out of the fields like, "What the hell do you want from us, man? We don't handle the market." It led to a revolt of the women, and they showed up in warrior uniform at the police station. And they were declaring war on the British over the taxation, and the British didn't know what the hell to do because they didn't. Who are these women warriors? Because they simply did not understand this concept of co-leadership.
Co-leadership. Well, you know, Whimsy, I was talking earlier about how you know, when I was speaking for myself, the importance of integrating the male and female together, because I believe that we are not balanced unless we find those two aspects in ourselves. And that's just like a microcosm for the macrocosm of what you're talking about.
Well, yeah, and I think the deeper thing here's something that Sandra is saying that I really think we need to take a deep look at is the price that men pay. You know, she also goes into it's almost like a psychosis. The whole planet goes into out of balance, right?
Yes, exactly. I believe that.
So the other thing is what you I wanted to talk briefly about what you had talked to go back to. So she starts with that, which, you know, I was reading yesterday and I got so pissed. I started shouting political slogans while I was reading this yesterday.
You are an empath. You really are.
But
I get that way too when I'm reading. I get very passionately involved. It
right.
becomes interactive for me.
The one thing I wanted to ask her, which I would have asked if we, well, maybe we can ask her now because I guess she's in the audience. Do we have to stop being queens? I feel like that was the only question I had for her.
That's actually an excellent question.
But it's like, I ain't gonna stop being no queen. Well, now you're 60, you can move towards the crown. Forget that crap. I'm still a queen.
Well, that's a good question.
No, but the other thing is, that was the other thing. Page 48, being a good steward for resources, money, and possessions. That was really a powerful thing to go over.
Yeah.
You want to talk about that a little bit?
Oh my goodness. So I'm just trying to remember everything here. You know,
Page 48.
Yeah, page 48. I'm just remembering, you know, something that struck me, I had forgotten about how, in the old days, a woman had to have a dowry when she was married. A
Right.
woman could own her own property, have her own money. She got married, it was automatically given over to the husband. It was no longer hers. I know that doesn't exactly pertain entirely to
Well,
here,
no,
but
no, I think actually that's exactly what she's
yeah,
saying. So
that
what
was
happened?
I
Yeah,
remember.
no, that's very much what
Oh,
she's
good.
saying. Because part of being a queen and going back back to the original, excuse me, archetype is that women have to get smart about money
Yeah,
because we're stripped of that role. And so consequently, we don't know what the hell we're doing. And so it's not, so women don't know how to take care of themselves financially. And if you want to go back to the queen, part of that is you have to take care of your kingdom. And that means if you look at the poem in the what is it called? Aishit Chayil, a woman of valor who can find her price is far greater than rubies from the Bible. She sets a price in the marketplace. It is this depiction of a woman who's working in the marketplace and she's wheeling and dealing. Her husband has faith in her. Hey, get us a good price, honey.
hmm
It depicts a relationship of equals that are surviving against the forces. His
yeah,
wife marketplace while he's out doing the heavy labor, and they're in this together. The idea of partnerships that can trust each other and they're in it together. Her husband trusts in her all the days of his life. That is the power of, when you empower a woman to have these kinds of abilities, what you're actually doing is creating a healthy
I
relationship.
think that's exciting. That's
Yeah.
the only kind of relationship I would ever want to have.
Yeah, so I think she does come across that. Um, Anything else you wanted to add about that before we go on, or?
That's about all I can think of. That was just something that really stood out for me. I guess because I hate, as you know me, I hate injustice.
Yes,
And
that was
just
also covered in this. Yeah.
the unfairness of that galled me, and I had forgotten. And of course, that was a very common thing for a woman to be expected to have a dowry and to give over what she had.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and and I think that what Sandra is saying, and she can correct me if I'm wrong, but I took away from this is you have lost your tools. You have lost your magic. You have lost your tools. And this is the path to return back to your authentic self and to take up those tools again. And
Yeah.
that's how I took away this book.
Yeah.
Did you feel the same way?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm still exploring the book, and I'm going to be for a while because this is a big thing for me. I want to balance my chakras. I want to empower myself more. I want to have more empathy, more understanding, and this is amazing. I can't wait when we actually do get to talk to her. I hope she's going to come back.
Well, I think she's here in this chat, so we are.
Yeah, I know she's here, but I wish she was here on camera with us.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, it is an excellent book.
Yeah, I wanted to just close with one. We're running out of time, but we do have a couple more minutes. She did, as you can see, I really went over it. On page 70, when she does talk about the second chakra, that was something that you and I had talked about, Chuck. The second chakra, all the energy that has to go into the second chakra to have.
Yes.
And so that is the energy that now it's still going into the second chakra, but now that you're entering into the time of the queen, it's the time of giving birth to ideas.
Love that.
And that's kind of what she talks about here, is that you're meditating on this idea of it being like the creative center. And so it's still what it was. You haven't lost anything. The energy is still there. The creative energy is there, and it's still being used, but it's being transformed into like arts, music, creative endeavors, starting new
I
business.
relate to.
Yeah, really powerful.
And I think you just brought up a very good point in the way this applies to a man. That's the way a man gives birth.
Oh, very good point.
Yes, through our creativity, ingenuity, our art. I think that's fabulous. You brought that up. That just occurred to me right now myself.
You know what I also like about here is page 84 when she on page 84. Yeah, we got a little time. When on page 84, when she talks about inviting the queen to come through you, I like this idea of having an archetype or a goal of how to perceive of yourself. Maybe you don't perceive of yourself in positive ways. Maybe you have a misperception of yourself, and maybe taking a moment to align yourself with a new perception of yourself.
Yeah.
And on page 84, when she's talking about inviting the queen to come through you, I think that's really what she's talking about. She's talking about taking that moment to reframe your perception of yourself.
I agree. I completely agree. I just love it. I love how she gives exercises in here. You know that I love journaling. I've been
Right.
for 40 years of my life, and she suggests that. She suggests meditations, visualizations, but to actually see your queen, to make her personal for yourself. I love that very much.
And with the last couple minutes remaining, because we do only do 20 minutes, the last couple minutes remaining that I liked the best about this process is when she talks about the development of the 6th and 7th chakras, which I totally believe. I think that women do become more psychic because the energy is going to the higher chakras. And
Most
for
definitely.
men too.
Most definitely. The crown chakra, that's where our psychic abilities come from. There's no question about that.
So my question to you, because we did want a male perspective,
Yeah.
and you identify as a man because we talked about that. Well, it's a good question, right? Don't assume anything, right? But I asked Chuck, I'm like, how do you identify? He's like, oh, I'm a man. Like you feel very comfortable with your identity as a man.
Comfortable, yeah.
Yeah. So my question to you is, you are a silver fox, right? We think that Chuck is a silver fox, right?
Yes.
Do you feel that, they say that after men turn after the age of 40, that they go through something similar. And you're an artist, you're a professional artist.
Yes.
Did you change your art at all? Did it change your art at all?
That's an excellent question, because I went through a period where between what was it, about from my late 40s to late 50s, where I wasn't doing art at all. I had a 10-year dormant period, and then when I came back, I just exploded. And I have always felt a lot of it has to do with the fact that I have accrued life experiences. Where I've been has definitely taken me to this point. And I've also sharpened my psychic abilities a lot, particularly during that 10-year period. And now I'm using that in my artwork. I use my intuition all the time. Every time I do a portrait, every time I'm looking into somebody's eyes,
Oh my God, this conversation is so good. I don't want it to end.
Oh, end?
No, we don't, not just yet, because the conversation is too good. Okay. Sandra said that I have to give up the queen and enter into the time of elderhood. So she's got another book, but I think that's okay, because you know what I've been thinking? I've been looking at the writings of people like Ram Dass and was it Ram Dass, Krishna Das? Who's the guy who passed, who had the stroke? Was it Krishna Das? I think it was.
I'm not
Krishna
sure.
Das.
Maybe one of our viewers would know.
Or no, I think it might have been Ram Dass. Yeah. But you get to a place where he doesn't want. He did not want to spend a lot of energy on anything other than being aligned in meditation, where you simply become one with the space of loving consciousness. And this book talks about that process. And I think that maybe that's where we're headed.
Yeah.
Rather than it being all this lower energy, we start to become aligned with this, and we just get to be present. And because we don't have all this extra energy to put towards BS. And we just
That's exciting. Yeah. It's like we're cutting out all the small talk, the gibberish. We're getting to substance, what really matters, and we're all aligning with that. And that's electrifying. That's thrilling.
Wow.
I can't wait to see that unfold more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank everybody who decided to hang out with us on Taco Tuesdays. Chuck, did you have a good time today?
I had a fabulous time. A really good time. I love doing this show with you.
Yeah, you like seeing the aliens and all that fun stuff?
The face-eating alien 7 feet tall. Oh yeah, I love that.
Celebrating Olivia Newton-John, celebrating a great book. And thank you to all of you at home who decided to join us. Thank you for joining the book club. Be sure and like and subscribe if you haven't had a chance to do so yet. If you need to get a reading with me or contact me for readings, you can check out the information below. 5-minute readings are available through Wizio. If you would like to join the Oracle of Whimsy fan pages, we are doing a raffle once a month for fans. They get a free reading. I think we have something like 158 fans, and so we'll randomly select a number. And if you happen to be that numbered fan, we will announce it on the show, and then you get to call Chuck and make an appointment anytime you want. You get a free reading. Doesn't that sound like fun?
I think it sounds like a lot of fun. I'm excited about that.
And other great ways to support the channel. Think about memberships. We have Fairies and Angels at $2.99, Elders and Empaths, where we teach remote healing. Did you know that remote viewing? Did you know that we teach it? Yes, Elders and Empaths for just $9.99. We also have Benefactors. You get a free consult with me once a month in addition to all the other benefits. So think about being a member. Class starts September 6th. If you are wanting to learn to be a remote viewer, and the classes are live for members here on YouTube every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Think about buying some merch too. We got great merch if you want to support the channel. We are out of here. Thank you so much to Sandra Rogers. Great to see you. Thank you so much to our very own director, Debbie Brady, for all of her help. Joel Tilson, our floor director, and everybody else who has been here to support us. Love and light. We will see you all soon. Take care of yourselves and enjoy the wacky news. Be well, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Fun.